May we see your invitation?
Odd groups got left, even groups got right.
Master, I hope I served you well.
More dogs, more dogs.
Too soon.
Welcome back everyone to the Burning Crusade Paladin Racial Guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at every racial available to the Paladin class in the Burning Crusade. And to keep this video a little bit simpler, I've decided to break it down into 3 different sections. The first section, we're going to be taking a look and highlighting some of the racials from each race, which then lets us deep dive and take a look at their performance and utilization in part 2 and 3 in both PvE and PvP content. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first up, we're going to be taking a look at the racials. And to start us off, we have the humans. The humans have a pretty decent kit overall, in my opinion. The +5 expertise to swords and maces really make a big difference if you're going to be retribution or protection spec. But the icing on the cake for humans definitely is diplomacy. The 10% reputation gain is absolutely insane for the Burning Crusade, because there's so much content and items that are kind of like time gated and locked out by reputation. So by having that 10% increased rep gain, it just eliminates the amount of time that you're going to have to spend grinding out the instances, grinding out the rep to get access to items. Next up are the dwarves. The only racial that I would really like to highlight definitely would be the gun specialization. The only reason why I'm going to highlight this is just because it is absolutely useless for paladins, simply because we aren't able to equip or use guns, so we don't get any use from this racial passive. But aside from that, the other 3 are very unique, definitely fill a niche role in both PvE and PvP content, but we will be looking at that in the next section of our guide. Coming in third, we have the Draenei. Definitely one of the stronger races in terms of racials that they bring to the table. The first one is gem cutting. I almost said jewel crafting, but gem cutting does increase your jewel crafting by 5. In addition to this, they have Gift of the Naru, which heals the target for 50 damage or so. I think it kind of scales up over 15 seconds. And they also have 2 really unique, very unique racial passives that is not just available to them, but to everyone in their party. And that is Inspiring Presence and Heroic Presence, which increases your chance to hit with spells and melee weapons by 1% baseline. Absolutely amazing. And how could we forget about the Blood Elves? The Blood Elves have a really cool, very useful set of racial passives and racial abilities. The first one is Arcane Affinity, which increases your enchanting skill by 10, Mana Tap, which reduces the target's mana by 50 and charges you with arcane energy for 10 minutes, and it is stackable. In addition to this, they have Magic Resistance, which gives them +5 to all resistances, which is amazing for both leveling, PvE, and PvP, since there's so much magical damage that you can take in the Burning Crusade. And lastly, Arcane Torrent, which is a usable ability with a 2-minute cooldown that silences all enemies within 8 yards for 2 seconds. Alright, now moving on to how we would rank them in PvE performance. So for this ranking, it's either going to be an S or an A, simply because for almost all the races, being a paladin isn't actually too bad. There's just a few racials that really put some of the other races above the others in terms of utility as a paladin. And this is taking into account for protection, holy, and retribution spec. Alright, starting from left to right, we have the humans, the Draenei, the Blood Elves, and the Dwarfs. So across the board, I decided to give the humans, the Draenei, and the Blood Elves an S in terms of PvE utility with their racials. And I decided to give an A to the dwarves, and here's why. So for the humans, diplomacy is absolutely phenomenal. It deserves, if there was something that could be above an S, I would give it an S. For the Draenei, heroic presence and inspiring presence are just absolutely phenomenal, no matter whether you're going to be DPSing, tanking, or healing. And with the Blood Elves, Arcane Torrent is amazing, especially for protection paladins, where they can run in, silence all the casters, round them up, drop a consecrate, hit a holy shield, and they're not going anywhere. And for the dwarves, I decided to give them A simply because their racials didn't bring much to the table for them overall in terms of PvE. However, stone form is something that I never really thought about as a defensive cooldown, just because of the extra armor it gives and the immune to like bleeds and all the other things. So it's just because of that why the dwarves didn't make it into the S tier category. Alright, and now we have come to the PvP section. So in terms of PvP performance, we're going to use the same grading scale. A, of course, will be on the lower tier, but still pretty damn good, and S will be, I actually don't know what S stands for, but it's like superb or like, you know, top tier and stuff like that, so yeah. Regardless, let's get started. In terms of PvP, the humans are going to be ranked as an A, simply because the only beneficial racial that they have is the perception, with like an increased stealth detection, and it's just not that strong in the PvP environment, unfortunately. The Draenei will also be taking an A in this section, just because while they have really good racials for PvE content, it doesn't really benefit them that much. And the Gift of the Naru and the +5 to jewel crafting just doesn't really help them much in a PvP setting. When looking at the Blood Elves, they're definitely going to stay in the S tier just because of Arcane Torrent. It's absolutely amazing, and PvP and can really be the deciding factor in a win or a lose when you look at arenas and battlegrounds, but more realistically arenas. And then also the dwarves are going to be getting an S for this, simply because 2 of their racials, the +10 to frost resistance and the stone skin, is absolutely amazing for PvP content. So overall, this is what it's going to be looking like with the humans with A, Draenei with A, Blood Elves with S, and the dwarves will be joining the Blood Elves with an S as well. Alright, so that's been the PvE and PvP perspectives on the racials for the Burning Crusade. I would like to add something that I really want you guys to pick a race that you enjoy. Whether it be aesthetically or for their fighting animation, it doesn't really matter. This is more of a guide for those people that are just like unsure of like what the benefits of choosing this race over the other races, or if you're Horde, like you only have one choice. But if you're on the Alliance, you know, there's a couple extra things that you can take into account, and it just depends on your play style, you know, what you like and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, just be sure to play the race that you like the most. And yeah, just don't think too much about it. But if you are kind of looking at the negatives and positives or the different benefits of choosing one, hopefully this video has helped you in some way. But without anything else, because I think that's all I have, just, you know, be safe, have a happy new year, and I will see you guys soon in the next video. Peace.